Hello. How are you? Okay, let's get started. So we're going to do one character today, and then I'm going to teach you something called 2-point perspective drawing, which I think you'll have quite a bit of fun with. So we're going to do one character from The Simpsons. It's called Snake, using the Sharpie pen as normal. So let's get started with him, and we're going to start with his nose. He's got a funny shaped nose. It's sort of an upside down U shape. So we're going to start with that, and then we've got two nostrils there and there. Now this character's eyes are not full circles like a lot of the Simpsons characters that we've been doing. And he's got these eyebrows. We were talking about eyebrows the other day, and how you can make a character look angry or excited, surprised, things like that. So that's his eyes with these eyebrows. So we can't quite see the top of the eye. I guess he's quite an angry looking character. So he's got one bag under his eye. So with most of the characters, we've got this upper lip that sticks out, and he's got a little bit of a wavy mouth. It's not a straight line. So coming out from this eyebrow, we've got the forehead, and then he has a big sort of quiff on the top of his head. He's got this sort of 1960s style hair, and it's slightly longer at the back. We've got the ear. Now this ear contains a big earring, so we're going to do a hoop earring. And then he's got this part of his hair that comes down and around and then goes and meets up at the top there. So when you're doing your earring, it goes behind this ear, so make sure you don't come over the ear, and then in front of this part here, so it just looks as though it's actually going into the back of the ear. So the chin now is sort of level with the right hand side of his nose and comes down and then across for the top of his t-shirt or whatever he's wearing, and then we can just see a little bit of a neck on that t-shirt, just the top of the collar. Okay, so he has what looks to be like a denim jacket with the sleeves that look like they've been ripped off. So we're going to do a bit of a jagged line on the side there, and you'll see what I mean in a second. And that jaggedy kind of edge comes down and around into his armpit. And his jacket's open, and we've got a pocket in there, and then we can see some buttons. And a bit of detailing, some sort of stitching across there, and some stitching down the side. And a shoulder here. Now, the arm is coming out of his top and down to his side and back up, And he has a tattoo on his arm, but we're just going to finish the body off in there. So he's got a tattoo. The character's name is Snake, I believe. And he has this snake tattoo on his arm. Down the side of his arm there. So we're going to now do something similar on the other side. We can see his body coming through there, but then we've got the edge of his jacket with this torn look to the shoulder. You can see the collar on this side there, and we can just see sort of half of the pocket because the rest of it is going around the side of his body. And then we've got the arm, the t-shirt sleeve, and then his other arm coming down by his side with 3 fingers. We can see the cut off of his t-shirt there. Let's finish this collar off there just so that it looks as though his neck's there. Okay, we forgot a couple of little bits on the face. He's got this kind of straggly moustache. We've just kind of got 3 or 4 little hairs, whiskers kind of thing, sticking out randomly. And he has, I'm guessing they're going to be jeans or something. So we've got these very straight legs. This comes out from there and down past the arm. And the trousers are at a slightly different level, each trouser leg. So this one is slightly longer than that one, just because of the position that he's standing in. And he has, I guess, the kind of boots that he's wearing. Now we can't see the back of this one because his foot is behind. And there we go. So that is Snake. Okay. So I thought we'd do something a little bit different now. I'm going to teach you something that's not just character drawing. And let me just get a slightly darker pencil. Okay, so this is something called 2-point perspective, and it's a really good way of drawing things like buildings, or if you wanted to draw maybe a small town or something like that. Now, you can obviously use a ruler for this, but I'm just going to show you it sort of freehand. So what we're going to do to start with is we're going to, and I'm using a slightly darker pencil just so that you can see it on the camera. So what I want you to do is, I want you about halfway across the page, I want you to draw a line in there. Now we're going to call this the horizon line. So if we're looking at something, there's always a horizon, and there are things that are above the horizon and things that are below the horizon. Now on our horizon line, I want us to just put 2 points. Okay, so this is called 2-point perspective. You can do 3, 4, 5-point perspective. They're a little bit more complicated, but the general idea is exactly the same. So what we're going to have a little go at here is we're just going to start building a bit of a scene up. We're going to have a few buildings in there and maybe a road. So whenever we're drawing things like this, all of the vertical lines are going to all be exactly vertical. So straight up and straight down. If you wanted to use a ruler for that, you can. So we're going to start by putting a vertical line somewhere in the middle. I hope you can see that. Yeah. Now, what we're now going to do is all of the horizontal lines in this picture, any line that is to the left of our vertical line is going to go towards this vanishing point. Anything that's this side is going to go towards this vanishing point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roughly just get a line coming out there, and then I'm just going to see how wide I want this building. All right, so if you just watch what I'm going to do now, we've got another vertical line in here now. Okay, now the line underneath the horizon line is going to go towards this vanishing point. Okay, so I'm just lightly putting a line in there, and then I can fill out the shape. Okay, so bear with me. Now, I want the rest of this building, we're looking at this side of the building, and it's going to be running down the street this way. So I'm just going to get a couple of vanishing lines going towards this point, and then I can make this building as wide as I really want it to. So let's put our vertical line in here, and then I'm just going to fill that out a little bit darker. Now, like I say, I'm just doing this with, I'm doing this actually with a 2B pencil, just so that you can see it. But if I was going to do this, I'd do this with a really light pencil, so an H pencil, maybe an HB, just so that I can rub the excess lines out afterwards. Because obviously this line now in the middle, we wouldn't be able to see this horizon line because the building's in front of it. So that would be something that I would take away at the end. So let's put some windows in our building now. So we're going to do three sets of windows on this side. So let's put a vertical line there, nice and lightly, and a vertical line on this side. So now what we're going to do is these lines are still going to follow the vanishing point. So I'm going to get that one in there and this one in here. And then depending on how wide I want these windows, I'm going to put a couple of vanishing points in, or a couple of these sort of horizontal lines. Now you can see that this one here, because this is very close to the horizon line, this line is almost straight, whereas these have got more of an angle to them. This one is going to be below the horizon line, so it's moving up. And we'll do that. So I've now got my guides in, so I'm just going to put some windows in. So we'll do two on each side. So I can now fill out the lines that I actually want on there and there. And then I'm going to come down to the next section. I'm going to line those up so that they're symmetrical and they're corresponding with the lines of the windows above. And then we'll do our last section of windows just below the horizon line. Okay, so the windows on this side now, because this is the face on the left hand side, the lines are going to go to this vanishing point over to our left. So let's get a couple more windows. We're going to line it up with this one here. So there, we're going to line it up with the bottom of this window here, just so that we've got something that looks realistic, because obviously a building is going to have pretty much the same size windows all over it. You might have a bit of variation, but let's just stick with a similar size. And now you can see we're building some realism up. So we're starting to get this three-dimensional look, but everything is sticking towards the same plan, the same idea. So everything this side is here and everything there is on this side. So let me just get a couple more windows in this side, and then we will, I'm rushing this, you don't need to rush this. I just really want you to understand the basic concept of how we would do this. I did, I don't know if I've put it on my YouTube channel actually. I did Hogwarts. I got a picture of Hogwarts, and I did a picture of Hogwarts using this same method, and it turned out reasonably well. I'm not happy with that line there, so I've not done a horizon line, a vanishing point line there. So those windows looked odd because they're going to go towards the vanishing point, which means everything this side is going to be thicker than this side. You can see it sort of tapers out there, and then we can block those out and add some colour or whatever we were going to do. Now let's say that we were going to cover this building in bricks. The same rules would apply. So if I put some lines in there, I'm then going to fill the brickwork out with the horizontal lines, but we're sticking to the same idea. You know, it might be something else that we put in there. We might have been drawing it as a wooden building, so it's sort of slats of wood. Well, if that was the case, they're all still going to follow that same line. So let's put a building behind this one now. So I want a nice tall building, so I'm going to have a vertical line there and a vertical line here, and it's just going to come down to the same sort of level as this one. So we know where that line goes to there. Now this line is going to come down to there. So the higher up the buildings go on this side, the steeper that angle becomes. This is going to come out to this vanishing point there, and I'm going to take the horizontal line further back there, because it's going to look like it's sitting behind this, but it's a slightly bigger building. So I go over the lines that I want to keep now and make them slightly darker. And we've got a building that's now behind. I'm just going to rub out just some of those excess lines now, just so that you can start to see that it's beginning to take shape. I don't need any of those in there. Let's continue down this street. So we'll get a. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put a road in here. So I'm going to have I want a sort of road that looks as though these buildings are on a corner. So I've taken my point, which is similar to the edge of the building there, and then I'm going to run a line towards each of those. This road's going to have a curb side on it, so I'm going to run a line going this way and one coming this way, just a sort of an edge or a small pathway or whatever that might be there. Now let me show you a cool trick. Down the centre of this road we're going to have some lines. So I'm drawing the vanishing point lines in, and I can, sticking to that line, I can do that, and I'm just going to make sure that they get shorter and shorter as they go into the distance. And we can do the same thing here. So we've got some smaller, stubbier lines. That comes there and there. So you can see that everything that we now add to this drawing is going to stick to those rules. So if I wanted to add another row of buildings that went along there, I could have the edges of the buildings, and they're getting narrow as they go towards the vanishing point. I'm going to let's put a nice doorway in this one. So we're still going to the vanishing point there. So that's my horizontal line, but it's almost horizontal itself because it's sitting directly on the horizontal line. If it was higher up, it would be steeper. If it was lower down, it would be steeper this way. So this is a wooden door. So we're just going to put some lines going down, and let's have a row of windows on this one. So I'm going towards this vanishing line on the right hand side because that is that's the point that I want to work from. So we'll put a couple of these little windows in. I can put some details in there if I want to, just make sure that I'm sticking to the same rules. Let's say that we wanted to put, I'm just showing you, and it's probably not going to look necessarily correct, but let's say we wanted to put a roof on top of this building that's at the back. So in about the centre of the line going towards this vanishing point, I'm going to do a horizontal line, okay? Now, instead of following towards the vanishing point necessarily, I'm going to come to the edge of the building. Now, the reason we're not going to the vanishing point now is because this isn't a horizontal line. This has got an angle to it. And the angle can be whatever the builders or the architects decide upon. There and there. Now, the bit that we need to take into account is there any of the flat part of the roof that we might be able to see? If we draw a line out towards this horizontal line there, and it comes through here, there isn't really, but just let's say that there was, we're just going to add in that small section of the roof at the back there. And it's those little details that if you get them right, it makes the drawing look really, really professional and finished. If you get them wrong, now that's not necessarily correct. I think that we might not see that side of the roof there, but we just use the guideline to help us on that one. And I can put a couple of buildings in the background here. So a horizontal line, sorry, a vertical line there, and a nice steep horizontal line there. So we've got the start of another building in there. I'm going to put a round window in that one. And we could put a roof on this. So the vertical line, and then that one. Now I definitely know that I would be able to see some of the roof sticking out of that there, and you can see that this line is following the same vanishing point as this one, and you can continue building, you know, as much or as little as you want. Let's put a small building in here. So we're going to have a building that's slightly in the distance. It's above the horizon line. So there's my small building. Now we can see the front of this. If this is a gap here, so I need to now start bringing a couple of lines out towards this and there. There's the edge of it. So we've now got a sort of a one-story building on this edge here. We can put let's put a roof on this one. So the roof is going to be there and there. So there's the peak of the roof. Now this line needs to come to this horizon line there. So we just see a little bit of that. Now in this, I'm going to do an arched doorway. So 2 vertical lines, and we're just going to do a semicircle through there. And I could fill that in to make it look as though it's slightly darker. But you can start to see that we've got the basis of something that, you know, looks, even though it's freehand, it looks quite professional. I might want to, let's say we wanted a building on this side of the road. So now what we're going to do is, I'm still going to use my vertical line. The vanishing point is going to come very steep here and also there. I'm going to put my other vertical line in here, and then I've got my lines going towards this vanishing point. Now I don't want to come out over onto the road because that wouldn't work, would it? We wouldn't be able to see the road. So now what I've got, and I would have probably wanted to have done the buildings in the foreground first, because I've now got a bit of erasing to do, because that looks, now it looks completely wrong. So if I take my eraser, I'm going to erase the details that we put in there, even the bits of the road and all of that, and on this side, because this building is obscuring our view. You look outside your window or wherever it is now, you don't see the buildings in the background through the buildings in the foreground. So that's why we would start with the buildings in the foreground, really. So that was really my mistake there. We'll put a tall doorway on this side. So I need to make sure, because this part of the building is sitting on this plane, I'm going to follow the top of the door to this vanishing point. But it's almost horizontal, so there's not a lot there. If I did the door on this side, let's do one, I need to follow this vanishing point there. So anything that's on this side, this sort of right-hand face, goes towards this area there. And then I can fill that out. Let's make this brickwork. So we're going to put a series we're going to put a series of lines in there that are going to all follow here, and then we can just add some details and some bricks in. Brill. So that's our 2-point perspective. We did 2-point perspectives and we did snake as well. I'd really like to see you have a go at some of these and use your imagination and see if you can come up with a small town or a cityscape or something like that. It's a lot of fun. You only need a pencil. You don't need a ruler necessarily. And thanks for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow. Don't forget to send me some of your work. That's Lily waving. Say bye, Lily.
Bye.
Okay. See you guys.